Thank you, Ishan. That is truly remarkable, and we're thrilled that you were able to discuss your innovation here at the Enterprise Innovation Summit. And with that, it's time for the last session of the day, the valedictory keynote of the day. Our special guest here leads the global agenda of business growth driven by strategy, powered by digital, and manifested by brand experience. Now, in his 25-year career, he has played many roles spanning across sales, business development, and with large deals. Now, he has opened many new markets in North America, the United Kingdom, the Middle East, Australia, New Zealand, and Southeast Asia, apart from India. Please welcome Jagdish Mitra, the Chief Strategy Officer and Head of Growth at Tech Mahindra, in conversation with Rahul Neel, our editor here at Dynamics CIO. Over to you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Ashwin. It has been wonderful 2 days of AIS 2021 so far. While we were really looking forward to be face to face with the industry friends, I guess we'll have to still wait for a few more quarters, if not more, to see each other and shake hands, give a hug if possible. So before I start this conversation, which is going to be very intriguing, that's what I anticipate. What would life be in 2025? Now that's a question. In normal times, we would have really been very passionate to answer that. But in the wake of the outbreak of pandemic and the many crises that unfolded since the beginning of last year, innovators, developers, business and policy leaders, researchers, activists, all are quite perplexed whether they could make any prediction that is accurate and precise. However, there is a broad consensus on the fact that people's relationship with technology will deepen as larger segments of the population come to rely upon digital connections. These digital connections could be for work, for education, for health, for their daily commercial transactions, and also even for the essential social interactions that we are having. How is it that the innovation in technology will lead to an even pervasive experience economy going forward? Will technology be the mainstay in the growth of society and economy? Will technology innovation lead to an immersive experience in the absence of humans at many places? To talk about these issues and many more, we have today with us Jagdish Mitra, who's the Chief Strategy Officer and also the Head of Growth at Tech Mahindra. Hello, Jagdish. Welcome to this edition of Enterprise Innovation Summit.
Hi, Rahul. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity and look forward to talking to you. Seems to be a very exciting topic.
Absolutely. So as we go into the conversation, as I said, there have been many predictions. None of them are closer to the mark as such. But since March 2020, governments across the world have spent close to 16 trillion US dollars providing fiscal support amid the pandemic. The global banks have increased their balance sheets by a combined of 7.5 trillion. We lost $15 trillion in output as a result of COVID-19. I mean, these are IMF research indications. And if we go by those figures, then if policymakers had not acted, last year's recession would have been 3 times worse. So already there is so much that has been lost. But imagine this would have been 3 times worse than what we are staring at. So how do you see growth amidst the rising concerns of health, the rising concerns of economic recovery, the rising concerns of human capital in both global and local contexts?
Well, I think, first of all, Rahul, I think, thank you. It's been an amazing 18 months that we are living through. As they say, those were the times, is what we will probably go back in a few years to recover and talk about the times that we are going through. As far as you talked about the economics of it, and you're right, and I think the policymakers acted very much in in time in every aspect, and therefore I think we should thank them for that, because this could have been really, really worse. Having said that, there's been still an impact, especially in a country like India, which will take a long while for us to recover from, just because of the nature of the economy that we live in, because it's a large amount of it is not digital, so automatically the impact of it will be larger. However, your question about growth and the ability for what will the future outlook for growth look like, and the role of technology, I think one thing that it's been well established now, that during the pandemic we learned that the businesses that could stood the stress of this pandemic are the ones that had a lesser dependency on non-digital, or rather were well digitally connected, and therefore they were able to take advantage, or rather withstand the storm, if you may. And in our company in Tech Mahindra, we called it a survive to thrive journey. Survive is the first part, revive is the second part, and thrive is the third part of everyone's journey. And I think the opportunity for most industries to move from survival first to revival and thrive was dependent completely on the way they were able to leverage technology in their businesses, in their supply chains, in their talent recruitment, in their talent management, their human engagement, all aspects of it. For the first time, as you said in the beginning also, that the whole centerpiece of it became technology enabled. You want to connect with someone, it's technology. You want to sell to someone, it is technology. You want to get the services to be delivered, it is technology enabled. It suddenly became the centerpiece of everything to be delivered. So the future growth outlook, at least for the next 3 to 5 years, is going to be strongly and significantly dependent on technology. And technologies like cloud, technologies like AI, technologies like analytics, technologies like cybersecurity will play a very, very critical role in many ways across every business units. So it is not just going to be your technology team's worry. It should be the worry and the opportunity for every business function in an organization, whether it is sales, marketing, production, customer service, finance, or operations. All of them will have to think about a tech-enabled business and tech-enabled function, rather than to drive growth, rather than just the function in isolation, and we'll add technology on top.
Exactly, and your statement about survive, revive, and thrive actually is quite contextual in this conversation today that I'm going to have. And fortunately, you have already given an executive summary of the discussion that is going to unfold from now onwards. So when we talk about the occurrences that happened in the past 15 to 18 months, they were kind of a reality check or an alarm. In certain cases, it was even a warrant for businesses that have been reluctant to embrace digital technologies, digital interventions, transformation, and now find themselves woefully unprepared. And organizations of all types are trying out various sorts of digital platforms, depending on what they need, what the business objectives are, to stay above the water during this whole period of slowdown. They had to shift focus to their businesses' existing digital channels, or make a bigger pivot to a entirely new digital business model altogether. But many are making unplanned efforts without understanding the foundational challenges. What could be that right approach or prudent approach towards innovation, towards acceptance of the power of digital, power of technology, en route to an experience innovation that we are talking about?
Well, I think, Rahul, you're right. This has been absolutely a reality check, an alarm in many ways, and more so because, when you look back, the technologies that we are today so dependent on 18 months into the pandemic is stuff that was not invented in the last 18 months. It's just that we never used them. I mean, the very fact that you and I are having a conversation over a web tool or a video conferencing tool, sitting wherever we are, was not new. It was there. It's just that it got adopted because we were forced to adopt. So when a large amount of transformation happens, it can only happen through a seismic kind of a intervention. And this is a seismic intervention. Of course, a seismic intervention has its negatives, like we saw, loss of commerce, loss of lives. This has been tremendously bad for the society overall from an economics health perspective. But it also moved the society from a business perspective or a way of life perspective to a very different world. And that could only happen because of the reality check that we brought in. I think the pandemic brought in to light how, for example, the Mahindra group, if I speak of my group, has been, first have to be a very conscious enterprise. So the most important part of that started to become is that what is the purpose? I think most companies started asking the question of the existence of the company because it was a life-changing moment that we are living through. That, why do we exist? Why do we have the businesses exist? And what is the purpose of that business? And I think companies that will succeed are those which will think about the fact that there is a profit to be made, but there is a planet to be taken care of. So profit and planet coexist. And it sort of brought us together to say that whatever changes we try to bring together will need to have a very conscious and a purposeful enterprise to work. And that, I think, is the first step. Second step is digital transformation. So if we will look at it, the key mantras that people were, to drive innovation, as you said, or an experience innovation to be that is first to remember that what is the digital transformation going to do? What is the outcome it will drive? Looking at technology as the solver of problem will not help. But what will it enable that will drive the solution? So the question to be asked is, we always use the word digital transformation, but it is not a one plan which will fix all problems. So you look at societal and environmental impact, you will look at outcome it offers to all its stakeholders, and the value realization and the execution timeline. So if you don't do these three things in plan and follow an agenda of growth in this, you will probably find out that it's a tick in the box. And the companies will not evolve from where they were to where they want to be unless they follow these three mantras that, what is the societal and environmental impact of what you're trying to do? What will be the outcome that you'll measure for the stakeholders? And what will be the value realization? Is the combination of all these three is to really create the interim milestone. So you can see that in many ways that it worked out. We played a role with the government of India, where we were trying to do the COVID-19 response, whether it was on the app or whether it was on creating and connecting all the healthcare facilities for the government, helping them with the supply chain. I think the whole coming together of solving up, and this was not just for India only, but we did with many other people our governments that we tried to do. The second wave obviously took us by storm. Therefore, what we did at that time was the purpose helped. We brought in teams together which started looking at how could we help the society. So we created solutions around WhatsApp and solutions around different areas which could help people to be able to collaborate better. But that became almost the bedrock of innovation. And the bedrock of innovation started to ask the question saying, is there an experience that I'm delivering to the customer or to the user better? And that's why it's important to ask the question saying, if you are delivering an innovation, is it impacting those three levers that I talked about, Rahul? What will be the business outcome? Who will be the key stakeholders in that? And will you be able to measure the impact? If you're not able to do it, then that experience will not be delivered. And the reason why I think you need to start from the problem or the target user rather than technology, and this is coming from a tech company, is that will help you drive the innovation experience. Otherwise, we can do all the coolest technology, but the adoption will be very poor. I mean, look at what happened during COVID. Adoption was high, not because the technology was cool, but because this gave us the experience. Me and Rahul can have a conversation sitting miles or thousands of miles apart and still have a conversation which we could not have had in the past.
Absolutely.
So it has to start from that first starting point, is that business problem that you have to define and see, are you trying to solve, what will you solve? And these are difficult questions. Otherwise, we'll end up doing technology and not solve the problem.
Extremely valuable input. And I personally liked the linkage between purpose and profit. And I think you very rightly nailed it when you said that, this was the time when organizations across the world realized that there has to be a social purpose why you exist, and not just work for profiteering. Excellent. So if the imperative for a strategic approach to technology is very universal, I mean, there is no two ways or no doubt about it that whatever we are doing, there is a robust technology which is actually giving it a push or giving it a shape. Some lead the pack with technology capabilities. They also have the wherewithals in the talent department. They have the leadership, which is actually top down, bottom up, whatever you want to say, which is inclined to embrace, adopt, and exploit the technology. And also they have resources. But there are many others in this universe, who could be missing the opportunity to invest in areas of their business models that are most at risk of disruption. And we have seen this disruption coming from almost nowhere and striking us at a stage where we don't have choices. It's just that we need to survive somehow. So money is an obvious challenge in cases where these companies are not able to catch up with the more developed mindset. What could be the other challenges that you foresee or that you see already, and how could those challenges be bridged? How can technology become more universal, more appealing to all classes of organizations?
No, I think Rahul, you're right. Money is always something that is an important factor in any transformation, in any change, but it is not the only factor, right? So, and by the way, the assumption that we all sometimes have that the bigger organizations, the bigger companies have all this at their beck and call is also not correct, right? Because the bigger you are, the bigger problems you're trying to solve, right? So you're always, scarcity is and prioritization is a problem is something that is an important terminology for any size of an organization. Because with the size of companies that we are, then there are bigger companies, there are smaller companies, and they have similar problems to cut their coat according to the cloth according to their coat. The areas that I think beyond money that Rahul is something that is very important, that challenges that people need to overcome. The foremost of it is communicating the strategy as to why we need this transformation, and which basically in other terms is called buy-in. That is sometimes the biggest inhibitor for transformation or digital transformation or digital changes to fail. That we keep refining it, we keep trying to do this in a way where there is no way that we are able to drive that discussion forward. The whole challenge of trying to make sure that we are able to drive this discussion forward and fails because there is constant iterative process, which therefore no one in the organization has worked at. Along with it, there are cultural changes. So, for example, there is you must have heard, and we all talk about it, the agile way of working, which is basically means that are we able to modularize pieces, solve problems quickly? If it is failing, regroup back and solve it again. So units of work which allow people to work in an agile way of working rather than long, big projects which will take its own time and you find out at its own end whether it worked or not, which is not easy to do because you have to break it down into small components that can be measured. And as I said, the communications, it's absolutely important. And the fourth and the final one is related to talent. I think talent will always be at shortfall, and therefore, us saying that we will get the talent worked out and so on and so forth is not the right way of looking at it. The way to look at it is how do you reskill your people? How do you make sure they have bought into the whole process and make them ready? How much more new talent will you be able to generate and get? We are all running after the same pool for resources of any kind, right? So the more, like you have in classical energy terms, you're talking about renewable energy. You have to talk about renewable talent. So the skill bases that you're talking about are got to change significantly in the approach, and the companies investing in those are the ones that will succeed. The ones that will, difficult time to succeed are the ones that are constantly relying on outside talent to come and help. So those would be my 4 key things beyond money to look after.
So, at the end of this answer to my question, I'm personally quite convinced that while technology is ubiquitous, available, there are challenges which are outside of technology and money that an organization needs to address. And be it about culture, be it about communication, be it about talent. I mean, renewable talent is a new phrase that I've learned in this conversation. Brilliant. So, majority of the new customers prioritize experience over ownership. I mean, we have all started witnessing that the new generation that is coming in as the predominant consumer of goods and services, they really don't wish to own products. They need to experience those products. The more immersive, the more memorable the experience is, the better it is for the company which is selling the product or the service. So the V of volume is crucial. However, the V of value will always be what customers care about going forward. So what role does approaches? Now here comes, you very briefly talked about certain technologies in your first answer to my question, the opening question. Here is my big question is that what role does technologies like software as a service, APIs, microservices, what role do they play to make the V of value stronger?
Very good, very good. Rahul, in terms of the question that you asked, V for volume versus V for value. I think the question is very, very close to me personally, and I don't know whether you're able to catch my wallpaper as to what it says at the back end. That's our brand message. Okay, that brand message is really about connected world, connected experiences. That's our theme that we carry across, and that's the Tech Mahindra's brand statement, because we are a very strong company in terms of our knowledge of telecom and so on and so forth, and the connectivity piece. So therefore, the connected world, and now with all discussions related to 5G, etc., the connected world is only becoming more and more relevant. But the connected world, we felt, can only be as good as the connected experience it delivers.
True.
And the connected experience is the reason why brands exist. And that has changed over the last 20, 25 years. Earlier, the bigger brands would be remembered for a huge amount of opportunity that it creates, the size and scale of these brands, the very big factories they have, the very big buildings they have, and so on and so forth, and the large neon signs maybe. But the point today has changed to a small app. That app on your phone has a much better brand recall because of the experience it delivers to you, and therefore you always have it handy. So your visit to a building or a large place is no longer needed. You have it on your phone, and on your phone, the experiences that it delivers to you as a consumer, whether it's a taxi hailing app, or if it's a holiday booking so and so, or whether it's your food, or whether it's your banking, or whether it's your shopping, all of it is available here, right? So that's your experience economy. And the reason why that experience economy is successful, and the reason why those brands are bigger brand valued than some of the larger ones in the previous world, is because of the way they leverage technology. So the reason why a particular shopping company is more successful, or a particular taxi hailing app is more successful, or perfect holiday or a hotel room booking or a vacation rentals thing is more successful, is because they're using those technologies. So therefore, the opportunity for businesses to succeed and become an experience economy has no other way but to use technology. And those technologies are cloud, those technologies are AI, those technologies are analytics, those are cyber security, because it enables you to give cybersecurity, because it gives you the confidence and it gives you the ability to make sure that no one can tamper with your data. And that's a battle that we'll keep fighting, because we'll have people who will there'll always be the good guys and the bad guys, and that will keep pushing the technology parameters ahead. But the rest of the technology, which is also constantly improving, is things which are making you have things available on demand, things that are telling you what you will future predict, things that are telling you that what you are like. And these are things that when we had 2-3 things to do, we used to remember. But right now we have so many things to do and so many transactions we do. The best way to do is to, it's like the difference between trying to do your multiplication on your paper versus using a calculator. The calculator actually does one of those mundane stuff that you used to do, but you can't do it with so many numbers in place. So that's where the analytics, AI, and the whole experience part comes together to deliver to you what you call as the value of the experience. Value, V for value. And a large amount of terminology that's changing around, therefore, is SaaS. The whole thing for you, which you talked about, is it's an experience economy. It's also not an owning economy. It's a consumption economy, which basically means that even software that we deliver and solutions that we deliver, people are ready to go because of SaaS, because they're ready to experiment fast. They're ready to try and succeed fast or fail fast and change before. So the whole speed of change from where you try to where you have succeeded or not succeeded has to be a very short loop. It cannot be a period where you apply it for a longer period and then realize, wow, I succeeded, or wow, I did not succeed. Now, in that whole world, the SaaS economy plays a very, very critical role in making it successful, because you're constantly using things as a service, and therefore your ability to try new things and innovate is also becoming faster, right? Because your dependency on decision making is also shorter. So technologies that I mentioned, plus a business model which is as a service, is really what's driving the change for V for Value.
Wonderful. And if I now go back to your survive, revive, and thrive theory, I think what you have just spoken about actually fits very well into this scheme of things. While these technologies existed on the horizon, too bad that we had to face a pandemic to realize the potential of these technologies. Not only the technologies, but realize the potential of the term called agility. How can you break a larger challenge, larger problem, monolith problem into smaller milestones, keep achieving them, fail fast, recover fast, do new things, put more emphasis on innovation, which is led by some of these nice technology pieces that are available. I mean, the whole open source world is available for anybody's exploration. So great. I'm coming to the end of my conversation. And finally, give us, like a professor, I would request you to give us a very short best practice guide, maybe your top 5 picks for a digital-led innovation which results into growth for business.
Rahul, first of all, I'm far from being a professor. I would be the last bench guy. So, the last guy that my professors would want to see me as a professor. But I'll tell you what I think work and what we think are elements that in our company, in our group, in Mahindra and Tech Mahindra, we strongly believe in and we're trying to constantly improve upon. It will be not fair on my part to say that we've got all the answers, but this is where we are trying to go. So you asked for 5, so I'll have to make sure that I give you those 5 responses. So first is start with the problem, not the technology, or start with the opportunity, not the technology. Problem is a slightly negative word always. So it may not be a problem, but it could be an opportunity. So start with that rather than starting with saying that, how do I use AI? That's not the right way to, or how do I use data science to do it? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to solve? If that clarity exists, then I think that's a good starting point. Build a collaboration ecosystem, which basically means that you have to make sure that you're constantly within the company, and I'll come to the outside the company. Who are your people that will help you build this, make this solution successful? Technology partners, different units, different skills that are required. Who is that ecosystem that's going to, because you can see, right? Our whole world has become into a network economy, a market economy. What does that a market mean? Market means people coming together, many buyers, many sellers. That's what makes this work. And therefore, there is a strong collaboration in that system. Innovate through strategic partnerships. The reason why strategic partnerships are important, because when you innovate with a partner, you're actually bringing in different capabilities together to be able to help you with the innovation. So, for example, your partner as a business could be a technology guy. We and you come together, and you are no business, we know technology, we can come and innovate together. Our partner could be similarly, I want to innovate in the area of banking. Sitting together in Tech Mahindra and trying to do all sorts of innovation will not be the right way to do it. We probably want to go ahead and have a partnership with a bank, with a consumer, with a enterprise which is trying to take, is connected with a bank. These 4 or 5 strategic partnerships helps me innovate better. The 4th point would be encourage crowdsourcing. For example, you'll have crowdsourcing is such a oft used word, but hackathons, for example, inside the company, outside, is really something that allows you to come up with multiple ideas. Why does crowdsourcing succeed? Because none of us know the answers really. And if the best answer could be a combination of multiple things that we have not thought of. And so the whole world is today a knowledge economy, an experience economy, like you just talked about, and a marketplace. So take advantage of it and start asking people to participate in the journey of what you're trying to solve. And that's what crowdsourcing and hackathon is about. And finally, reverse the pyramid. It doesn't have to start from the top. The best ideas definitely don't always, or probably never, come from the top today. They come from people all across the organization. So if you reverse the pyramid and make sure that your wider base of people are able to provide and give you their suggestions in an organization, that's the journey of the digital innovation. Because that's where I think your biggest opportunity lies, in taking a large scale of people who are thinking and applying their brains, and a very limited set at the top of the pyramid. And these are all, Rahul, at the end of the day, are great guidelines, but take a lot of effort to practice.
Yep.
and put into practice. So I'll leave it at that, but I think those would be my suggested.
Now, so first thing that you yourself defined by by being so methodical and categorical in prescribing these 5 things is that even though you were backbencher, I take it on the face value, as you said, you have a brilliant mindset to teach and preach both. So if I sum up this answer, I think that's going to be the takeaway from this session. Look at opportunities rather than picking up smaller technology pieces and then finding out where can I apply those. Look for opportunities, look for challenges where you can apply technology pieces and solve problems. Collaborate. It's a great asset for an organization. People have been always very conservative in collaboration. They don't look outward. They don't even look inside. The kind of ecosystem that they have within their teams, within the human capital that they work with. So collaboration is, because we are working in a network economy, collaboration is a great asset for an organization to experiment with. Innovate with partners. Absolutely, without any doubt, you can't solve everything yourself. You don't have the wherewithal of solving everything yourself. So innovate with partners. Introduce crowdsourcing. I mean, that's something that we have been now witnessing quite frequently, that larger, even smaller progressive organizations are dependent on or encouraging more such hackathons, techathons, and crowdsourcing of skills, crowdsourcing of better solutions. And last but not the least, reverse the pyramid. And not everything has to start from the top. So as you said in the last, that these are good to have things. These are good to good to have as a prescription. Very difficult to implement. But I am sure if people are serious to deal with this crisis, use this crisis as an opportunity to leapfrog, I think that's the perfect prescription for them. Thank you so much for being with us on this platform for this session. Thank you, Jagdish.
Thank you, Rahul. Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks.
Over to you, Ashwin.
Thank you. And with that valedictory keynote, it's curtains on day 2 of the Enterprise Innovation Summit 2021. Now, yesterday, we started out talking about infra. Today, it was about experiences. And tomorrow, it's going to be all about security. Now, enabling us to bring you this vast expanse of industry-specific talks are our presenting partners, Yota, and our gold partners, Commvault, HP Enterprise Unique Solutions, Infoblox, Tata Communications, Veeam, Versec, Uptime Institute, and Zoom. Thank you all for the support that you have extended to us. And thank you for having spent your day with us on this fascinating journey. Please continue telling us what you're thinking on the social media hashtag EIS2021. And congratulations to the lucky winners of the various contests. Now, till tomorrow, this is me signing off on behalf of all of us here at Greyhead Media. Take care and see you very soon.